What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I am your host and captain, Garrett Morlang, and here, not really in the studio with me, but here in spirit, Adrian Homeboy Holmes.
What's going on, Garrett? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. So I imagine not a lot of people know who you are. I mean, unless they're on Twitter, you comment on stuff once in a while, like stuff. But yeah, who are you and how do you know about our show and me and all that?
Well, I know about your show because I know of you and we're friends. We met about, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago, yeah.
What was it? It was Kind of Funny Live. Was it 2 or 3? I think it was.
It was 3. It's the last live show they did.
Right, and then they did prom. So yeah, it would just so happen we met at the food court that day, and we were trying to think. Oh, you guys were thinking about, how can I get over to the venue? And then I have my I have my small little Ford T-Bird, and it was you and a whole bunch of other people, and we all crammed into my little car, and I drove us around San Francisco to get to the venue. And then from that, and we were just cracking up the whole way. And I knew from then it was like, we got something going here.
Yeah, it was you, me, Ethan, and he had brought his wife.
Yeah, Ethan and his wife.
And then Cole had come out from somewhere out.
And they were all smashed in the backseat. Yeah. And you were crunched up with your legs in the front like this.
Yeah, it was all, it was a tight squeeze, but we got in there. And we went out to the Fisherman's Wharf, right? And then hung out there for a little bit. And then went to the venue, and
we had to book
it because
we were almost late. Yeah,
yeah, we're like, oh shoot, we're gonna miss this show. Yeah, man, that was such an awesome day because I went out there. Like, I don't have any friends who listen to Kind of Funny. No one came with me, and well, I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but I was out there at like, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I drove my wife to the airport. She was actually heading out that day to visit some friends back in Wisconsin. So I was like up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, drove out there, dropped off at the airport. I actually went and parked in front of the Kind of Funny studio and was just like slept in the car for a while because I just wanted to say like, oh yeah, I got to see the studio, took a picture, and then I went to that lunch thing. Like that was the next thing I did basically. I did a little exploring around San Francisco, and then I met you guys. So it was like I went from like not knowing anyone, not having any friends, to suddenly have a whole carload of friends. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good times, man. And we've all kind of been in touch and talking ever since. So
yeah, I know it's that whole Kind of Funny like best friend mantra. It's a real thing. Like I never thought I'd meet anyone, and especially and then I do, and we've stuck around the last 3 years. Always random back and forth on Twitter. It's always a lot of fun. So thank you so much for coming on, though. Yeah, you put out that tweet. Really, okay. Let's really get down to it. You really guilted me into this, but
no.
I
mean, I'm just saying. Look, I had an opportunity. I saw an opportunity and I took it.
Yeah, no. When you put that out there, I'm like, oh my gosh, like why didn't I think of that? It's genius. Like, yeah, JJ's out for a little bit here. Rest in peace, JJ. When you said that, I'm like, oh duh, like. Yeah, I have all these potential guest hosts here. I just forget that you can use like technology, Skype, stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
So this stuff.
It's 2020. We got to take advantage of it.
We got this, man. Cool. Well, let's get through some housekeeping real quick here. So we have a Patreon. If you love our show, love what we do, then go over and check us out. Patreon.com/supergamerboys. It's a work in progress. I don't know if you've ever checked it out, Adrian, but I've thought about kind of revising it a little bit. It was really a rough draft at first, and I was just like, let's just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. And people supported us, which is great. Like, thank you guys so much, especially our sponsors, Bill Bird and Julie Bates. But yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I really need to revise this, fix some of the perks. I want to add some perks and maybe even adjust some of the prices. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where when you launch it, you're just like, I don't know, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I have to give people things for them to give me money. Yeah. How does that work?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then figuring out, okay, they're giving me this much, like, what is that worth? And I want to give them as much value for their money. So
that's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I need to work on. So if you really love what we do, go check it out and support us over there. And if you're not sure, if you're on the fence, just wait a couple months. And I'm seriously trying to work on revamping some of that stuff to make it more bang for your buck. So we're also part of the HP Video Game Podcast Network. Shout out to you guys. Just to shout out one of the shows that are part of the network, the HP Podcast. I listen to them every week. They come out every Wednesday, same day our podcast comes out. They have an awesome show. It's actually kind of similar to ours, but I love listening to it because a lot of times they have different takes and different opinions on things, and they're bigger than us. They do it kind of more full time. They actually get to go to, PAX, like they're doing a panel at PAX East this year, and they do some reviews and stuff like that. And they just launched a Patreon as well. So go check out that podcast if you're interested in other stuff on the network. They do good stuff. Also, you can check us out. Let's see. What do I want to pimp this week? Normally, I usually pick one of these things. Let's do our YouTube channel. So obviously, if you guys are already watching, great. Thank you so much for watching. But a lot of people who listen to the podcast don't realize that we're also on YouTube. So not only can you hear our luscious voices, but you can
buttery voices.
You can also see our beautiful faces as well. And this week, even though we're not in the studio together, there will still be video. There's a close-up right on my face and a nice, beautiful close-up on Adrian's face. So go check that out. supergamerboys.com/YouTube. Alrighty, what do you say we get into some nudes?
Let's do it.
Alrighty, it's time for the nerdy nudes. First up on the dock here, I didn't clean it out, so I just almost read the wrong article that we're skipping, but here we go. All right, news story number 1. This comes from GameSpot. Steve Watts over there wrote this one. Splinter Cell Rainbow Six creative director rejoins Ubisoft. So the original article kind of goes like this. The creative director behind some of the big Ubisoft games is reportedly rejoining the company. Maxime. Okay, so I'm gonna need help pronouncing this.
Is
Maxime
it like Maxime?
That's why I don't know if it's like Maxime or Maxime.
He'll forgive us.
Maxime.
He's got he's rich. He probably doesn't really care who we are, so it doesn't matter.
We're gonna call him Max.
That'll work. Yeah.
Max Beland, who left Ubisoft in 2019 for a brief stint as creative director on Epic Games' Fortnite, is said to be coming back with a new and more influential role. Video Games Chronicle reports that Beland will join as vice president of the editorial team, which helps make big picture decisions about various games across the company. This is part of a reported restructuring of the management team following disappointing sales figures and various delays to make its lineup better differentiated. GameSpot has contacted Ubisoft for comment. And then, let's see. And then, there's an update saying that Ubisoft did confirm that he, in fact, has returned to Ubisoft, because maybe apparently at first it was just a rumor that happened. But yeah, so this is interesting to me because he was, it says right here in the next paragraph, he was a 20-year veteran of Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And he served as a creative director for Rainbow Six Vegas, which was an incredible game.
I was going to say, he's been the head on some bangers. I was just looking at it.
One of my favorite Rainbow Six games, Vegas and Vegas 2, amazing. Game design director for the original Assassin's Creed, which
it was a good foundation for the rest of the series. It was a good foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And then creative director for the 2 latest Splinter Cell games, Conviction and Blacklist. He also helped direct certain portions of recent Far Cry games. So he has quite the cred there. Some pretty sweet games he's brought to us. So my question to you is, do you think this means anything, him coming on? And then also, do you think this means anything? And what do you think that could mean for maybe some of these games he's previously worked on? Do you think it's any foreshadowing for what's to come? I don't know.
It's interesting because they're saying that he's coming back, but he's going to have a more hands-off role. So if he were coming back, if they had said he was coming back to head up a new Splinter Cell, I mean, they can't, outright say that because they want it to be a surprise. They want to have the hype and things like that. But if he had come back in a more directorial role, I'll say, in the sense of, because I feel like, what did they say he was coming back as? Just like almost like a glorified consultant in a way.
Well, so they did say it was. Oh, where is it? He will join as vice president of editorial team.
Right. So he's making he's on the writer side, kind of
making big picture decisions about various games across the company. So he is going to have some sort of decision making with a bunch of different games. You know,
he's the guy in Gladiator. He's the one that's doing this or doing this.
Right. Okay, yeah, they're kind of bringing the ideas to him now, and he's giving the yay or nay.
Yay or nay. No, we were talking earlier, and I was saying that it was kind of interesting about this because he left not too long ago. What was it, February of last year? He left to go to Epic Games. And I feel like if you score a job at Epic right now, you're set. Like, they have Fortnite that's doing gangbusters. They got the Epic Game Store that's doing crazy numbers right now. So that should be a plus job. So I really think he left to kind of, either he wasn't getting his way maybe, or he was trying to prove a point that he doesn't need them. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's definitely, I don't know, it doesn't, to me anyways, it doesn't bode well for Epic possibly. I don't know. That was just my first assumption. When I saw that, okay, just February of last year, so it hasn't even been a year that he's been there. He's a creative director on Fortnite. And then it says he actually left in October. So he was only there for like, what, 5-6 months?
If that.
Like, why? I guess my mind immediately jumped to the negative. Like, what's going on over there that it was that bad? Like, for him to leave before he even got accepted back to Ubisoft must have been bad.
He must have been guaranteed a spot back at Ubi, because him being a 20-year veteran, you don't just up and leave. Like, there has to be some kind of factors in play with that. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm thinking it must be like a salary dispute or some kind of personnel. Yeah. Maybe he didn't like the person that was in charge there, and he said, well, I'm going to leave until you get rid of this person. And maybe they got rid of him and he came back. But you don't just up and leave after 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe it has something to do with even like, I mean, they're constantly coming out with updates like every month or so. They're always popping in some new weapon or item, or a new season for something, new this or that, the other thing. Like, what if just the crunch is unbearable over there? And he was like, this isn't, good for my mental health. And he knows he can get a job somewhere else at Ubisoft, with a better position and better, have a better headspace through it all. I don't know. That was my thought too, is like, maybe it's a really crappy work environment. And he was just like, why would I work here when I can make the same amount or get a promotion? He basically came back to Ubisoft and got a promotion.
Right.
Yeah, that's just scary for what's going on over there at Epic. I guess it gets kind of concerning.
I worry for that team. I mean, they're doing excellent work, clearly. Millions of people are playing it. If it was bad, nobody would.
But at what cost?
Exactly.
Cost, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. My hopes and dreams, though, I know this is totally out there. Like, probably never happened. But my dream here is he's back. And the first thing he does is he gives the green light to a new Splinter Cell game.
Oh, you read my mind. You read my mind, dude.
That's what we need. And I mean, if he wants to throw in Rainbow Six Vegas 3, I'd be happy with that too. That would be fantastic. Like, those two games, I mean, just Rainbow Six, that series was incredible.
And he tells everybody to pump the brakes on Ghost Recon for a little while. Let's take it easy.
Let's take a
couple of years off. We don't need Ghost Recon 2.8 final mix. We're good.
Yeah, right. Oh man, if Ghost Recon started turning into Kingdom Hearts, oh man. I mean,
it might be more interesting than Breakpoint. I can
be
tell
a
you
little
that.
more interesting, yeah. And even what was the other thing? Maybe with Rainbow Six. I know this is a long shot too. Right now, like, I'm just dreaming. Just let me dream here for a minute.
Go for it.
Rainbow Six Outbreak, that got delayed. What if they just go back to the drawing board with that and they're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is going to be now Vegas or something.
Just
like that.
Retool it from the ground up into Vegas.
Just retool it. Or even if it doesn't take place in Vegas, like, just take that game style, that play style. It was just so good. Although that aesthetic was fun, like running around in that city setting, through like the casinos and stuff. That's what made that so much fun.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I know I'm just dreaming, but it's fun to dream once in a while.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, video games are cool. Might as well dream a little bit too. Let's see. Was there anything else in that article that was worth mentioning? It just mentions at the end, Ubisoft's current slate of projects include Watchdog Legion, Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six
Both
Quarantine.
of which we don't know if they're going to come out because they apparently got delayed into infinity. So
right, yeah, no, all three of those games, Watch Dogs, Gods and Monsters, and Rainbow Six, all just got pushed to who knows when, just because. Well, it says at least April 2021, so I guess it can't be any later than that, apparently.
Yeah, well, Watch Dogs I can understand because there's so many. Apparently, there's like a bunch of systems in place that they've never done before. They've never had all these moving parts. So,
I mean, you can play as any character you want. Like, that's bizarre.
That's imagine the outcomes you have to try to plan for and compensate for. It's just
I couldn't
must
imagine.
be insane.
Yeah. And then I love how it says Skull and Bones has been pushed back to at least April 2021 as well. They haven't talked about Skull and Bones.
I was gonna say,
or 3 years.
We're so bummed about Skull and Bones.
We saw a video like 2.5 years ago at E3, like forever ago, and that was it. Like it got delayed. But
just hang that one up, man.
It got delayed without them even saying it got delayed. It just disappeared. Like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Pirate games are cool, but I don't know.
Very few pirate games are cool, and the cool ones are usually really cool, and they're usually called Assassin's Creed 4. But
there you go.
I digress.
Yeah. Well, alrighty. Well, let's get into the next news story here. So Xbox Series X hardware shows up early. This comes from Brad Sams over at Thurrott. So this kind of came as a little bit of a surprise to some people online. I actually first saw this on Twitter. I saw a bunch of people reposting it even before I saw the article. Pretty much right when it got posted to NeoGAF, it was already on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Sams here writes, 2 weeks ago, I wrote up the ports that were on the back of the Xbox Series X, and today you get to see them with your own eyes. Images of the hardware that show the front and back have found their way to the internet. The images were posted by Curry Panda on NeoGAF, and the images are of authentic hardware. I don't know. The wording of that is weird. Grammar bad. Meaning this is not a fancy 3D printed model. And as I reported, the back of the hardware contains an optical audio port, 2 USB-A ports, Ethernet power, and a single HDMI port. He talks about how the holes in the side are for venting. The large rectangle port in the middle is for diagnostic reporting. That port will probably not be on the final hardware. And the hole at the top of the Series X does make it look like that the back is removable, but I would expect that is to be, since this is a pre-production unit, it may need to be serviced to debug or update the hardware as they revise the final product. So this was actually really cool. Like, I don't know, it got me excited. I love just seeing new boxes, even if it's not actual, it's not new information. It's just like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. I get to see a cool new picture.
I feel like I'm one of the few people online that I have seen, but I adore the Series X design. I think it's incredible looking. I'm a big fan of minimalism. So when I saw that it's just like this big, it's like a big slab of Xbox. You just sit it there and it's ready to go. The only thing that I hope that they include with the retail unit is in the trailer they had that the little like RGB, the green on top.
Yeah.
I really wanted to put that. If I can do that, or maybe I'll see if somebody can mod it in there later on. But that looked so sick. And it was just enough flair. It wasn't like, you know how you see people with PCs and they have like a county fair going on in there with the little Ferris wheel and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, calm down. But no, just a slight green, because, you know, Xbox is associated with green. It's perfect. I dig it.
I love how even like the color they chose, like, it just looks like this slab of concrete, like monolith, like just like straight up. Just
it's dense. It feels like it's just
it's solid. Powerful. And it's packed full of power. Probably the most interesting thing from this, and I think you mentioned it a little earlier, but the picture of the back, there's a little sticker on there, and it says Xbox product name placeholder, prototype not for sale. This device has not been approved for FCC, blah, 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 all this stuff. And over on the right-hand side, there is a serial number. That serial number is, I imagine, attached to someone's account at Xbox, like someone's whatever credentials or whoever checked it out from the top secret lab.
It should probably just the numbers under the barcode should just spell out Phil Spencer, because this has to be his. It has to be.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is like someone's getting in trouble, but then. Right, yeah, like you just said, Phil Spencer's the only one who's publicly said, "Oh yeah, I got to take home the Xbox Series X. This thing's great," or whatever. Like,
right.
Do we actually think this is Phil's? Is this totally Phil's Xbox?
It's the only theory that makes sense, right? No Microsoft employee with common sense would risk it all just to have pictures of the box, right? The only one that is invincible of getting reprimanded for something like this is Phil. Because he's the head on the project. Who's going to tell him no? You know,
right.
This is
what are they going to do? Fire him?
No, they're absolutely not. He's like one of the driving forces of turning Xbox back around. So he's not going anywhere. But I mean, it makes sense. If it was Phil's, it could be a viral marketing stunt. It could have been maybe him just flexing on everybody that, hey, I got it before you. I don't. Yeah, man. No employee worth their salt would do something this foolish and not cover up this serial number.
No, the first thing anyone would do is take a Sharpie to that or put a Post-it note over it. And this person's just like, hey, check out the picture of this Xbox. Oh, by the way, here's the serial number. It's probably linked to my name. No big deal.
My employee ID, my badge, what time I come into work.
Yeah, here's my social security number. Now,
you're right.
Man, no, whoever posted that was gutsy. And I mean, you make some good points. The only person who could do it, I mean, unless the employee was just a complete idiot and was like, after they post it, they're like, no.
Why did I get my phone out, take pictures, look at the pictures, and then post them?
Because the very last or the very next post on NeoGAF was probably like, hey, nice serial number there or something like that. Like, I don't know, you're guaranteed like
he's lucky. Whoever this person, he or she, they're lucky that NeoGAF even told them they left the serial, because normally they were just going to look it up and not tell you.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, so it looks awesome.
The one thing I'm kind of iffy about is there's no USB-C.
So yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It looks awesome. The ports, okay, cool. We got some cool ports on there. There's two things I was going to mention. No USB-C, which they did mention was going to be, part of the controllers, PS5 and Xbox Series X are supposed to have USB-C, right?
Right.
And there's so I guess my only thought with this is most USB-C cables at this point have USB-C at one end and USB-A, which they do have the high-speed USB-A ports there. But say someone wants to plug in an external hard drive, you can get way faster speeds out of that USB-C to C plug.
Well, yeah, and you get way faster data transfer speeds. You get much higher power transfer. That's why you can quick charge a lot of stuff with USB-C. Like you could imagine if they had C ports, you could probably charge an Xbox controller in an hour.
Or less even, I'd imagine. I don't know. You could probably like crank that thing up so quickly. And
so it's just weird because by the time we're done with these consoles' lifetime, USB-C is going to be as standard as A is now. So
at least I hope so. I hope so.
For them to not think that far ahead is kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe but this is a prototype. So who knows? Maybe something has changed since then. I just think at least have one.
Right. Yeah. No, at least one. The other thing I was interested in was, and I don't own an Xbox One or an 1S or a 1X. So maybe they got rid of it on like the S and the X and I didn't realize it. But there's only one HDMI port, one HDMI out. Now, if I remember correctly, the one has a HDMI in. Is that correct?
Yes. I have a 1X and it still has the in. I don't know why. They were already past that. They threw away that you're gonna use it as your TV box by then. So maybe it was just to keep legacy users happy and
right. Okay, but I feel like even though it's one of those things they kind of like quote unquote like threw out because it wasn't the best message to be like, hey, we're your all-in-one box. Like people just want to know they can play video games.
Right.
But I feel like I still hear a lot of people who do use it for TV. Like I listen to a bunch of different podcasts. I've read different, like, I don't know, I've read blog posts from people, and there's surprisingly a lot of people who use it for their entertainment system. Do you think this is going to like tick people off, or do you think people won't even notice, won't even care?
You and I must run in very different circles, my friend, because I have not heard one person that uses the audio or the HDMI in at all. Everybody that says it's a waste of a port. I don't understand why it's there. Most people these days anyway are starting to cut the cord. So
right, exactly. Everyone's using streaming.
Right. There's no real need for it, you know? So I don't think it'll tick anybody off, especially these days. Like we said, most people are going to start using streaming now. And if you're still using the cable box, I doubt you may be using your Xbox that much. I just feel like most people, and I'm not trying to say it's ageism, maybe a little light, but it's like, I don't know too many people my age that have a cable box anymore. That's all.
Yeah. No, I've never owned a cable box. Hey.
See, my point's
like,
proven.
I mean, since I've like, obviously back in the day when I was like in middle school, my parents, we had cable, but it's like since then, after
it's no need.
We haven't had cable in years.
Yeah.
And I've never had cable as an adult. Yeah, it's crazy. You can get everything through streaming. Why do you need that? But yeah, I was just curious because I know you have an Xbox. So I was like, I'll ask you and see what you think about that. Because I have heard, and you're right, it's not everyone. Not everyone has their cable box hooked up to it. But I've heard more than I thought I would from different shows and blog posts and podcasts that are like, oh, wow, okay. So there are people out there who do use it for that, like, which blows my mind. But
the silent minority has become vocal on this issue.
Yeah. That's possibly the case there, but
overall I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, Series X looks awesome. I don't really have any complaints outside of I hope that they revise it to put USB-C. Yeah. But other than that, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no,
and Phil did a good job with his marketing stunt.
Yeah, right. I know. He's is that his secret handle there, Curry Panda then? Like we all know.
He's got to get a new one now.
If you break it down, it's actually like secret code. It actually spells out, if you arrange the letters, it says Phil Spencer.
Exactly. It's the Danish spelling.
Yes. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this next article. This one, Adrian, this one's for you. It's definitely not for me. Kingdom Hearts is getting a new mobile game this spring, Square Enix announces. This comes from Jordan Gerblick over at Games Radar. So not only am I not a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, I enjoy it. I'm not a huge fan though, but it's also a mobile game. It's kind of two things that I kind of joke around about and hate on a lot. So what do you want me to read some of the article first before I start asking you questions? I guess I should give you at least that much. I'm not going to just...
Go ahead.
Here we go.
We want everybody to have as clear a picture as possible. And that's saying a lot with Kingdom Hearts. So
as clear as picture as possible. As clear as we could possibly get it for you. You might need to help me with some of this pronunciation.
Go for it.
Project
Xehanort.
Xehanort. Okay, cool. I wouldn't have thought that. Project Xehanort will explore Xehanort's fall to darkness. Project Xehanort is a working title for an all-new Kingdom Hearts experience hitting iOS and Android. I can't even take this seriously. Hitting iOS and Android mobile devices in spring 2020. So coming soon. We get to all play it on a mobile device near you. Square Enix made the surprise announcement on the all-new Project Xehanort Twitter account. There's also a new hub on the Kingdom Hearts website for the game that asked, why did he become the Seeker of Darkness? The new mobile game will presumably explain Xehanort's fall to darkness and transformation into a main antagonist of the Kingdom Hearts series. And yeah, here's a tweet here. It says, welcome to the official Twitter page for Project Xehanort, an all-new Kingdom Hearts experience planned for spring 2020. Read about read about our Guess the Name Twitter campaign on Project Xehanort website. Okay, so only Kingdom Hearts would have a Guess the Name contest. Hey, if you can guess the ridiculous name of our game, I don't know if you win anything, but
they'll probably give you a copy of the game or like a Sora statue or something.
A copy of the free game on mobile.
No, it'll be like on a little SD card. Here you go, and it'll have like a little heart on it or something. I don't know. They do weird stuff like that.
I want to participate. I'm actually on the website now. I want to see. If you can guess what the name of the upcoming, you can win big. That's all it says. It doesn't say what you will win. But it says you will win big. So they warned you. They warned you. You will win big.
Whatever it is.
That sounds more like a threat than
you want to win big, huh?
But yeah, so nothing else has been revealed about the project other than it's a mobile game, release window and tagline. Yeah. What do you have to say about this? You are the resident Kingdom Hearts expert. Just give it to me here.
Okay.
Tell me how I am wrong.
So, couple things. So, from what I can gather, the Xehanort in the tweets and on the websites is clearly a young man at this point. So, in the Kingdom Hearts timeline, this takes place well before we meet Sora and anybody else that are our current heroes.
Okay. So Sora is the main character the main protagonist of the games, right? Of all the games, is he the protagonist?
He's the protagonist. He's the main protagonist of the original Kingdom Hearts on up. There's actually a side game. I'm hesitant to call it a side game because I know somebody's gonna come for me. But there's a game called Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is it centers around 3 Keyblade wielders who this story is told before Sora, like maybe a few years before, and the main characters in that game actually interact with Sora, Riku, and Kairi, who are the heroes of the present Kingdom Hearts.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, this looks like from this photo. So there's, you know how Star Wars has like an Old Republic?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So Kingdom Hearts kind of has something like that too. So there was a mobile game before this one. It's called Kingdom Hearts Union Cross.
Okay.
And
I think I've actually downloaded that one before. I didn't play much, but I downloaded that one.
So it tells a story. In Kingdom Hearts 3, there's a location that you go to that is the site of one of the major conflicts in the game, which is the Great Keyblade War. It's where thousands of Keyblade wielders came and all clashed together in this big epic battle. And all that's left is thousands of Keyblades just stuck in the ground, all for as far as you can see. So this game goes back and tells the story of how that conflict began and how it leads up to the war itself.
Okay.
So it looks like this Xehanort picture takes place between that and between the Birth by Sleep that I was talking about.
Okay. So do you think we're getting
gap.
Yeah, okay. Do you think this is going to be like, what type of genre are we getting here? Is it going to be like a tactics game? Is it going to be, do you think it'll be like something where you got to use the touchscreen to like move around and hit buttons? Like, will it feel like a Kingdom Hearts game, like a console Kingdom Hearts, and have like controller support? Or do you think it'll just be like a touch tactics game, turn-based thing?
I wouldn't put my chips on it being a full controller supported game.
Or a card game. It could be a card game. I mean, that's the thing they've done before.
They've done it before. And I know what you're thinking, but it's actually fun. I'm just gonna. That's all. I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
It's actually really fun. But I can see them doing, with how powerful mobile devices are now, I can see them doing a 3D model based game. You know, because before, I don't know how much you played of the other mobile game, but it was basically like, kind of like Flash arty, like it was flat 2D. But I could see them fleshing this out to make it an actual 3D comparable to consoles type of deal. as far as control scheme, like we said, it could be anything. It could be a card game. It could be go around on the touch screen to make him walk around. I think this is going to be more story based though than action based, just by the information that they've given us in the photos. Because he looks a lot more pensive here, like he's trying to find himself. That the conflict is maybe more inside than outside at this point. So that's my best guess. Now, I did read on Twitter that the leading guess for the fan name it's called Kingdom Hearts Another Key. But the rub here is that in Kingdom Hearts lore, when you say the word or mention the word key, they use the Greek symbol, which is the X. So if you rearrange the letters in another key, it's an anagram for Xehanort. Right.
Okay.
Which is pretty clever. It's pretty clever, but like I said,
too clever for me. Too clever for me.
It's clever, but we don't know. That's just somebody's best guess. But I think it's a good one. So I mean, we'll see.
It's a cool name. I'll give it that. By the way, I also looked in the full terms and conditions and for that contest, and the prize is a $100 Amazon gift card.
Are you kidding? That's it?
so get on that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
The thousands of merch items that they've made for this game and special editions, and they even made a Kingdom Hearts 3 console, and you get $100 gift card to Amazon?
Yeah, do it. You can go out and buy 1.5 of their games. Yeah. Go out and buy all that awesome Kingdom Hearts merch off of there. Probably unlicensed, made in China. But,
yeah. A good portion of it is. You'd be surprised how much of it is.
But no, man. So
I'm not going to go any deeper. I don't want to. I'm sure everybody listening is probably asleep. So
yeah, we
need to wake them back up. Yeah.
So Kingdom Hearts, I guess we should have said this before we got started. If you didn't know, it's basically Final Fantasy meets Disney.
AKA
in a lot of sense.
Peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's a fun game. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I played a little bit of the second one. I never played the third one. I wanted to play the third one just because, it's new and it came out, but never been into it.
Yeah, I would say probably you made a good choice not to play it because you will have no idea what's going on. So.
I was tempted to find some video online to just catch me up. Maybe if I watch a 30-minute video, get caught up.
Oh, no. Those are the abridged ones. The good ones are they're like a couple hours. Yeah.
Okay. Well, never mind. I don't have enough time to play games I want to play.
Exactly.
A game
I'm lucky enough that I've basically been there from the start. So I've played everything as it's come out. So
yeah, if I have to do homework to play a game, no, thank you.
Oh, trust me, if I had to start today, I would definitely be reconsidering. But I've grown too close to it. I've grown up with it, so it's in my blood now.
I had the first one on PS2, but the second one I didn't play until PS4. So it was a gap even between 1 and 2 for me. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it's coming out for all of you fans out there. Get hyped. Kingdom Hearts is coming to a mobile phone near you.
Again, for the third time, I believe.
For the third time. And hey, technically, since it's a prequel, even if you've never played Kingdom Hearts, just jump in and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen,
I mean, you may have a good time, and then you'll say, what's the rest of this Kingdom Hearts thing about?
Yeah, man. Cool. Man, we're actually doing really good on time. It's amazing when you get a host on here who actually knows what they're talking about and also is just efficient and to the point. Man, you can really get through stuff on time, on schedule. I'm looking at my doc here and how I like to keep time, and we're actually staying on pace. Normally with JJ, we'd be 2 articles in and be an hour already. So thank you so much, Adrian, for being
no problem. I was just telling you earlier. I said I wish I could have brought a couple impressions, but I'll leave that to JJ. Rest in peace.
I know that's R.I.P. JJ. Make it, God rest his soul. Yeah, I was saying, I was like, no one can do impressions like JJ. It's insane. Like, and
do impressions or talk about your grandma or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't talk bad about my grandma, or not even talk bad. Just talk about
it.
Yeah,
just mention it in passing.
Just the weird. This is the way he talks about her. It's a little unsettling at times. Just a little bit. But cool. Well, let's get into this last news story here. This is also from Games Radar. This is by Alex Avard over at Games Radar. A Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic sequel is reportedly in the works. So actually, that's kind of interesting. I'm just now realizing the way that title makes it sound. It says sequel. I've also heard rumors that it's possibly a remake.
Now that I haven't heard.
I've heard it. Well, let me get into it. You know what? It actually does kind of mention that in the article. Let me get into it here. A Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic sequel is apparently in development at EA, according to a new report from Cinelix, the same source that accurately leaked the existence of the Obi-Wan TV show last year. Citing two separate sources, it claims are close to Disney's Star Wars. Citing two separate sources, it claims are close to Disney's Star Wars plans. A new take on BioWare's RPG has been greenlit by publisher Electronic Arts, one designed to, is a quote here, integrate elements from the first two games in order to bring certain things into the current Star Wars canon. Rumors of a KOTOR, that stands for Knights of the Old Republic, remake have been swirling for years, but this report now claims this latest project is more of a sequel/reimagining than a by-the-numbers reboot. Think the latest God of War game, and you get the idea. Given the recent success of Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, and all the talk of an ambitious multimedia project from Disney known as Project Luminous, it wouldn't be all too surprising to see EA revive the much-beloved Knights of the Old Republic universe back to life. It's unclear whether BioWare itself, currently working on Anthem, Dragon Age 4, and a new Mass Effect game, which I didn't realize they were working on a new Mass Effect game. It's the first I've heard of that. Unclear whether BioWare itself has much involvement with its rumored sequel, though it seems unlikely given on how far the studio is already stretching itself. Either way, if the Force is with us, we'll hopefully hear more official details at this year's upcoming E3 Expo. I just want to say right off the bat, I do not see us getting any sort of information at E3 this year on this game.
Oh, absolutely not. We're barely hearing about it now.
Yeah. So I clicked on the link here for the new Mass Effect game. Apparently, November 15th of last year, a new Mass Effect game is reportedly in the works at BioWare Edmonton.
That seems definitely like slipped by me. I feel like I would have known about that one, but
yeah, surprise to me too. But so with this, I mentioned earlier to you, I never played the original ones. I did not own an original Xbox, and these were Xbox exclusive games. Mm-hmm. You have played these games
extensively.
Are you stoked for this possible remake? Remake or sequel?
I'm cautiously stoked. Let's put it like that. So KOTOR 1 and
hang on one second. I just want to say, I looked down at my screen, and there's an ad playing in the bottom right corner. What do you think? What game do you think it's an advertisement for?
It's got to be for Kingdom Hearts.
It's for Kingdom Hearts. It's 100% for Kingdom Hearts. I looked at one article about Kingdom Hearts on my computer, and I'm freaking getting ads up the wazoo here.
It's Destiny, showing... Garrett. You got to play it now. Yeah. It's Destiny.
Now I have to.
It's Destiny Islands.
No. Okay, go ahead. You can go talk about Knights of the Old Republic. I just thought that was way too, what are the chances of that? But go ahead.
So Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 are both great. It's always been hotly debated which one's better, 1 or 2. That was when BioWare was actually BioWare Magic BioWare and not Anthem BioWare. I was talking to you earlier. I was saying I would be stoked, but at this point right now, I don't really want BioWare to work on it just because of their recent track record.
Yeah. I mean, we have Mass Effect Andromeda, not great.
No.
We had Anthem,
terrible.
Not great.
Let's just put it out there.
Yeah. What? I mean, they haven't had any real hits at all in a while since what?
And that was 2 huge flops. That's the worst part. If it was maybe an indie game that wasn't so good, or a side Mass Effect game to something like that, okay, fine, it happens. But Anthem was supposed to be the next big thing, and it just fell
100%.
flat on its face. And something as big as Star Wars, and especially something as beloved as Knights of the Old Republic, I would really want that to go to somebody who has the same care that BioWare did back then.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were reading, you mentioned Jedi Fallen Order. And while I have my grievances with Jedi Fallen Order, I do think overall it is a very good Star Wars game.
Yeah.
I would not be the angriest if they let Respawn try to take a stab at a remake for KOTOR, or if they want to do part 3. I mean, I'm sure they're already setting their plans for Fallen Order 2, but if they wanted to take a detour for a while and work on this, I think at this point they're the only team that's made a successful story-based Star Wars game, because Battlefront 2 was a flop.
Yeah, no, 100%. My only thought though with that is, that's not really Respawn's thing, right? Like, have they done an RPG before? Like, that's kind of a big swing to go from first-person shooter to. I mean, I know.
Well, usually though, BioWare RPGs aren't straight up like, you know, when you think RPG, you think of what your.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking like Fallout or.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, just stuff. I think of Bethesda RPGs because that's mostly what I play. I know there's a lot more RPGs out there, but that's just what pops in my head first is Bethesda stuff.
But they did mention that in the article that this was going to be more of a retooling. So I don't know. Maybe they could turn it into an action RPG. Now they do have lightsaber combat down, from what I understand, with Fallen Order.
You're not wrong.
So maybe they can work that in with somehow. So Respawn does very well at lightsaber combat. They do very well at story and story-based acting and cutscenes and things like that. And those are two major tentpoles in the Knights of the Old Republic series. So maybe you can bring on, I don't know if any old BioWare staff are active that worked on that game, maybe bring them in as advisors, you know, think, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? Or how would you have gone about doing this back in the day? And, you know, kind of tell them your plans. I think Respawn could do a really good job. I don't think anybody else can do it right now. And I hate to say that, especially about BioWare, but I want it to be done right if they're going to do something with it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like BioWare, and they said in the article, they're spread so thin. They are still, even though Anthem was a flop, they're still pushing hard.
Well, they got that EA money backing them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a games of service, which is even sadder that it flopped, because it could have been something for the next 4 or 5, 6 years. I don't know how long did Destiny last? Like forever. Like, okay, what?
Destiny's
4 or 5 years.
still going strong.
I mean, like even like Destiny 1. I mean, yeah, they're both of them. Destiny 1 lasted forever. Destiny 2's still going. That's I think what they're going for with Anthem, and they just like, you know, tripped so hard.
I place a lot of that blame on EA too, though, because I feel like EA really pushed them to get it out. It wasn't ready to go, and at that point, they had no choice. They had to get it out. And EA's done that a few times with projects that didn't pan out.
Yeah. So I mean, but so they were still trying their hardest to make Anthem good.
Oh yeah,
they're making Dragon Age 4, which is all we've seen so far. Is what there's like a little teaser trailer at an E3. Was that 2 years ago now? Yeah,
it was just stills, I believe. It wasn't any in-game footage or in-engine footage. I think it was like a CG trailer. I feel like, right? It didn't show much. I remember it was being like black, I think it was, and then it like narration, and that was about it.
And then apparently this new Mass Effect game, like that's so much for them to be working on.
Now,
granted,
the Mass Effect does pique my interest because Casey came back. Casey Hudson.
Okay.
He was one of the people who was top brass for the original Mass Effect trilogy, and he had left for a while. And it seems like as soon as he came back, that's when they started up the new Mass Effect series. So I am
maybe
of the
this next one will be
mind
good.
that I'm of the mind that that's the only reason he came back was to head up the new Mass Effect project. Yeah, because they were like, look, dude, all our games are flopping. We need a new map. Just do 4.
Please. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. The only other studio, man, that I can.
Do you have a pick?
I'm looking at a list here on Wikipedia of all the EA studios they have. The BioWare. Some of these I don't even know if I've heard of before. DICE I've heard of. I was like, okay. I mean, but DICE
is busy making Battlefront a decent game.
Okay. Here we go.
What you got?
Now, so they have never done anything like Knights of the Old Republic, but they haven't done anything in a couple years. Criterion Games made the original. They made. Okay. They mostly have done Burnout and Need for Speed, which I'd rather them just make another Burnout game. Where the heck is our new Burnout game? It's been so long since Burnout.
You know why they haven't made a new Burnout game? Because they made Paradise. And they were like, well, that's it, boys. That's it. Man, we've made the best Burnout there's ever going to be. And let's just remaster it and put it back on PS4, which I bought.
Yeah, they need to do another one. Burnout would be so good. But if they're not doing that, they have worked on Star Wars properties. They did the X-Wing VR mission, so for PSVR.
Oh, that was awesome.
And then it just says they did additional work on Battlefront 2. So they actually helped.
That's why it's starting to get good
Battlefront
now.
2. So it's like so even though that's first-person shooter deal with like it's not anything like an action RPG game or that would be part of Knights of the Old Republic. But I don't know. And I mean, the last thing they did was Battlefield 5 2018, which again, first person shooter. But you never know. Like Respawn surprised us with Jedi Fallen Order. Like, why can't Criterion come out? They've had some work with Star Wars, and they're not doing anything else. It seems like. I don't know. Totally
anybody can do anything.
I don't think it's plausible, but I feel like. Why not? Like you can people can do whatever.
Yeah, like I said, there's been a lot of studios that have made major jumps. Like, for example, oh my God, Guerrilla. All they've done is Killzone, 100%. Killzone, and then they come out with something that's almost completely different in Horizon, and they knock it out of the park. So anybody's capable, and we know just by the Burnout series alone that. They're very good at tight controls. They're very good at hitting 60 frames a second. That's really, or I'll just say their technical prowess is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So those could be really big factors to go and help. I don't know if they take over the entire project. Maybe they can, because now, like you said, they've been working with DICE. So then maybe they have a little bit more of those DICE resources. I know DICE likes to throw around there. Oh, we took photos of a blaster in 3D and now we can make a real good blaster model. That's good, but you kind of have to make a game around that. So maybe Criterion can use those DICE resources and do something real special with them.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you. I think Respawn would be awesome, but
it just hit me. Criterion needs to make a pod racing game.
Oh, 100%.
Oh 100%. My God. That would be so good.
No, that would be top notch, like amazing. Like if they could do another Pod Racer Revenge or something.
Who do we call it, EA? I need to. I'm sure they've thought of this. We need to get that going.
Heck
Sorry,
yeah,
that hit me like a bolt of lightning, man.
Forget Knights of the Old Republic. Bring me back.
No. Don't forget. I want both. Don't forget.
No, I just want. What was it? Star Wars. What was the name of that PS2 game? I loved it. The sequel, Racer Revenge. Star Wars Racer Revenge. That was so good.
That was 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the second one. I never really played much of the first one. The second one, I loved it. So stinking.
See, that's why you get Criterion to make 3. Can you imagine the crashes when you crash a pod racer,
so
dude?
Good. Oh, so good. Oh man.
You're welcome, Criterion. You're welcome, EA. If you haven't thought of that.
Alrighty, guys. Those were the news stories for the last week. Kind of the biggest one that stood out to us. Unfortunately, I feel like things are still kind of going slow. It's still winter time. I mean, other than these huge delays and stuff. But yeah, there's at least stuff that it generally stands out to me has been slow. That type of news.
That's good. That's time to catch up on your stuff. You need to play time.
Yeah, you're right. That's 100% right. And after all those delays, I have so much time now because I don't have anything else to play this spring. Everything's moved.
I was just thinking that when they said Cyberpunk is going back to September, I said, oh, thank God.
Yeah, right. There is a God.
Right.
Man, yeah. Because that was stressful to think about. Like, that's such a huge game. I mean, I was stoked. I could not wait. I was so excited.
I'm still stoked. I'm even more stoked now because I'm going to have all the time in the world for it.
Yeah, no, having so much more time is going to be so nice. And, hopefully it's right on the corner from those next-gen consoles, and they'll have a PS5 patch for me, and it'll look all pretty on the PS5. I don't know. We'll see. Those are all hopes and dreams. But let's get into some new releases, things for sure that we know came this last week. So on January 23rd, PS4. Did it really only come to PS4?
No.
Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, which is a DLC pack. According to Game Informer, it only came to PS4.
So here's the thing.
I don't think that's right, though.
Here's the thing. I was getting ready to say something about it. So
your camera's kind of getting a little fuzzy there.
What's that?
Your camera's out of focus. I don't know why.
Oh, boy. Good luck. I'm trying to get that back going. But let's see. If I come in real close, sometimes there you go.
Yeah, nice. Now I can see you.
Okay. So I, along with an unfortunate small number, I'm sure compared to the PS4 fan base, am playing Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox. And apparently there's some kind of deal that must have been in place between Square and Sony, because we have to wait an entire month to get Remind.
Whoa. Okay. So this is correct. It's just come out on PS4 today, or on the 23rd, which was earlier last week. But you guys have to wait a whole month for it?
Yes. It does not come out on the Xbox Store until February 24th. And I have made the precaution of just muting any associated terms on Twitter. I haven't gone and looked at any videos. I've seen maybe 5 minutes of streaming of it. But other than that, I'm just going to stay dark on it until it's our time to shine. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you got to do to get it in 4K. I wanted to see it as best as it could be, and that's the price I had to pay.
All those feathers on Donald Duck's butt,
while he's laying on the ground because he's dead and wouldn't heal me. But that's another story for another time.
Oh, man. Jeez. So that came out January 23rd. January 28th, we had Journey to the Savage Planet on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and then Kentucky Route Zero, the TV edition on PS4, Xbox One, Switch.
Kentucky Route Zero, I've heard a lot of good things about. What exactly is going on with this one?
Okay, so I have not played this.
I've heard a lot of ranting and raving about it.
From what I've heard, it was originally a PC game. Everyone raved about it on PC, on Steam. And then this is the first time it's going to be on console, hence the TV edition in the title.
Right.
And it includes all the chapters, because I think it was episodic. There was like multiple episodes. And I have also heard similar things about it, like just how amazing it is. I don't know what it's about, but everyone has a 9 out of 10 on Steam. Let's see.
It's an Annapurna game too, though. And
let's see.
They are one of the few that are like, anything they put out, I'm all about it, because they have put out nothing but gems. They are one of the few indie publishers that you can just give them your wallet and just tell them charge me when you put something else out. Just
take my money.
Right.
Excuse me. So for PC reviews, for some reason Metacritic shows it actually shows it episodic. So Act 1 had an 81%. Act 4, I don't know why it doesn't show 2 and 3, but Act 4 got a 90% on Metacritic.
Oh, so it gets better as it goes on. Okay.
It seems like it gets better as it goes on. Switch reviews, so for the TV edition, the one that just came out this last week, has an 84 on Switch.
Okay. That's good.
It's not showing what it has for PS4 or anything else, but that's a pretty good review score on Switch at least. And it seems like a Switch game. It seems like the perfect Switch game.
Is there like a quick tagline or a synopsis of what's going on with it? Or?
Yeah, let me see what we got here. Kentucky. Oh, stop loading. Stop moving. It's hard to read when you move. Kentucky Route Zero is a magical, realist adventure game about a secret highway in the caves beneath Kentucky. An antique furniture delivery man trying to make his small shop's last delivery gets lost along the way and meets a haunted TV repair woman. A young boy. I'm in 100%. As soon as you said TV repair woman, I was in. A young boy and his giant eagle brother. Okay.
I'm super in now.
A pair of robot musicians and dozens of other characters. Together they explore the nocturnal highways and country roads of Kentucky, the storied Echo River by ferry, and the mysterious Route Zero, the secret highway that runs through Mammoth Cave.
That sounds rad. I'm in.
Yeah.
When is it out?
So it comes out. Oh, that's why there's not so many reviews. It's because it doesn't come out till the 28th, which is tomorrow as we're recording.
I'm going to pre-order it as soon as we're done here.
We are recording on the 27th. On Metacritic, there's a countdown, 4 hours, 3 minutes, and 53 seconds. It will be out. But yeah, so far there's just reviews from IGN, Game Informer, Nintendo Life, and The Daily Dot.
Okay.
And they're all giving it 80 from IGN. Daily Dot gave it a 90. Game Informer gave it an 85. So good stuff so far.
It's on my list.
So I might check it out because I've only heard amazing things about it. So why not? Let's jump in. Cool. And then the last new release was just January 28th as well on PC. I can't talk at all. Warcraft 3 Reforged. I am not a Warcraft guy, but I know there's a lot of you nerds out there who are excited for this remastered Warcraft 3, so you're welcome, I guess. It's finally here.
I know of Warcraft, I'll say by proximity. My uncle was a huge World of Warcraft fan. So World of Warcraft, he was all about it. He had all the expansions, and he would just sit there for hours and hours and hours. I'm sure he had a few hundred hours in those games. So I know of, the Alliance and the Horde and all that because of just, he would talk about it so much.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like you said, awesome. I'm happy for everybody who's, what was it? It was 2003 this originally came out, 2002, something like that.
Well, you're thinking World of Warcraft. Warcraft 3.
No. I think Warcraft 3 came out around that time.
Warcraft 3 originally came out. It's just showing me the new one. Don't show me the new one. Now I have to know.
There's somebody going, no, it's this year. Come on.
2002. So it was 2 years before World of Warcraft came out. Because World of Warcraft was 2004, I believe. So yeah, Warcraft 3. Oh, that was Reign of Chaos. I think that was that an expansion pack or no?
Warcraft 3.
That was the subtitle of the actual game because there was expansions to Warcraft 3 that came out the following years. But okay, yeah. So 2002. So almost almost 20 years later, we're finally getting the remaster of that sucker. So yeah, go check that out if you're a nerd. And go check out Kingdom Hearts if you're even more of a nerd. Now.
Whatever, man. You're gonna end up playing it and you're gonna say, I was so wrong. I see the light now.
That's the thing. I played a lot of the first one on PS2. Granted, I was a dumb kid. I was like in middle school when that came out. I didn't understand what was going on. That was one of those games, Kingdom Hearts 1. I bought it. I think when I bought it, I assumed it was a Final Fantasy game.
You were half right.
Which I was half right. And then when Disney characters started showing up, I'm like, what is going? Which I should I don't know. It's on the front of the box. I should have known.
I was gonna say Mickey is their biggest life.
he's like the biggest thing on the front of the box. But I think I was just more curious than anything. I was just like, I don't know, maybe this will be more. This is by the people who made Final Fantasy. Maybe it'll be more like Final Fantasy. I don't know what this Disney thing's about. And then I was in for a ride. I'll tell you that much. I was very shocked with what I experienced. And I was a bad gamer, so I never finished it. Fake gamer,
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
what
don't know
they call
about
me.
fake.
That's what they call me around here. Is the fake gamer.
You can't be any faker than JJ.
Right? He's the one who always calls me fake gamer. I'm the one who actually finishes games.
Fake gamer. Do you even own a Switch, sir? I didn't think so.
He does now. Actually.
Oh, he does.
He bought one for Christmas for his son. He was gonna buy a Switch Lite.
That's what I was thinking. It was for his son. I knew about the one for his son, but he doesn't have one.
No, yeah. JJ will never touch the thing. He'll never touch it.
Right.
You're right. Alrighty. Well, let's get into some what you've been playing. So, Adrian, what you been playing?
Let's see. Well, I've been playing. I am very, very late to the party, but I am not mad about it at all. Been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, the new Fire Emblem for Switch, Fire Emblem Three Houses, and it is incredible.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I've never played a Fire Emblem game.
So
why should I play this one?
Let me see.
Or should I, like, as someone who's never played it, is it worth it?
And that's what I was getting ready to say is I remember when this game first came out, and there were a lot of people who had never played a Fire Emblem, and this was their first one, and they said, "Oh man, this is incredible. It's amazing. I didn't think I would like this." And I think that's really the strength of this entry is its accessibility.
Okay.
A lot of the older Fire Emblem games, they had a casual mode, but it was just the same thing. It was the same game, except your characters couldn't die. That's a hallmark in Fire Emblem is
right.
There's permadeath. So when your characters die, that's it. But the casual mode, when they die, they just come back at the start of the next battle. Okay. But there are a lot of tweaks to the gameplay in this game that make it way, way more easy to get into. Like the tutorials are infinitely more than any past Fire Emblem. I think what really helps a lot is that it's fully voice acted. There's a lot of cutscenes. The character designs are great. They've always been great in Fire Emblem, but they're really good here.
Okay.
Everything's always it's in 3D now, 3D models now. So I think that really helps the Western audience get a much more easily acquainted to it. And the story's great so far. I'm only a few chapters in. I'll say maybe I'm about 10 hours or so in. And from what I've heard online, there's 3 different routes to take, and you can spend upwards to fully complete it would be about 200 or so hours.
Like all 3 campaigns, basically?
Right. So you definitely get your money's worth.
That's crazy.
But from what I've played, it's excellent.
Okay.
I wouldn't call myself the hugest Fire Emblem fan, but I have played my fair share. Like most kids, you saw Martha and Roy in the original or in Smash Brothers Melee. Yes. And you had no idea where they were from.
Nope, no idea.
And then shortly after that, Fire Emblem came out on Game Boy Advance. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, this can fill the inescapable void that Advance Wars left in my life. And turns out it's the same developer, so that's exactly why it makes sense. So I picked that up, and ever since then it's been a whirlwind. The only reason I was so late to 3 Houses was because there was just so much I had to get through on Switch already.
There was so much, yeah.
And then,
dude, okay, I need to check that out then, because I've never, like I said, never played a Fire Emblem. They've always looked interesting to me, and what I've heard, especially even about this one, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a great entry point. Like people who have never played the game before, just hooked 100% in, which seems crazy because when you describe it, it sounds like a very niche game. Like only not everyone's going to like it. But so far, I've heard more success stories than anything. People are like, yeah, I didn't think I was going to like it. Never played one before, or I played one before and didn't like it. But this one hooked them. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I need to try this game
The big
out.
draw in the more recent ones has been the story and the characters. And in this one, I would say the characters play the biggest part because now instead of the way it used to work was you would do the battle and then a couple of characters that you are part of the story would have a cutscene together and they'll talk about something. But now you directly interact with the characters in your party. You help them out. You hang out with them. You're their teacher in this game. So you instill battle skills in them, life skills. So quickly get attached to whichever class you pick. That's the three houses thing. Is there's three houses you pick from, and whichever kids you pick, you're their teacher, and you kind of guide them through. So that, I think, it's kind of analogous to Harry Potter, and there's already a ton of Harry Potter fans out there. So I'm sure that was an easy hook to get people in there.
This might shock you to hear as well, but I've never read a Harry Potter book, and I've only watched the first movie about 10 times. I've never watched any of the other Harry Potter movies. I know nothing about Harry Potter.
My brain kind of broke, but until you said 10 times, so I'm like, okay, 10 times, so you must like something about it.
Well, okay, so here, it's not because I like it. It's because I've attempted 10 times to watch through the series. I'm always like, okay, I'm going to start with the first one and start watching through it. And I only ever get through the first one, and then the plan falls apart, and I never follow through and watch the rest of them. So not because I like the first one, it's because I keep like, oh, it's been so long, I need to watch the first one before I watch the second one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've never I watched the first one like a million times, and then the last one, I've actually seen whatever the last one's called, part 2. I've watched like the last like 45 minutes of it.
Chamber of Secrets.
Or whatever. Yeah, the final movie was the end of the series.
Oh, you already saw the end?
I saw the end of the movie. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I've watched the first movie, and then I walked in my at Bible school in Wisconsin. I walked into one of the dorm rooms, and someone was watching on their computer, and I like sat next to one and watched it. And I was like, "Oh, cool. What movie is this?" He's like, "It's Harry Potter and blah blah." I don't even remember what the last movie's called. He's like, "It's blah 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 part 2." And I'm like, oh, cool. Is it almost like, is it just starting? He's like, no, this is like the last like half hour. I'm like, cool. So I watched it with him.
So you've seen the first movie and the absolute end of the series in one go.
Yeah. So I know everything about the movie. I feel like I'm pretty much an expert on it.
Yeah. I remember when Harry started at school, and then when Voldemort died, and nothing happened in between.
It's pretty bizarre. The first one, you don't even see Voldemort, and then he just comes out of nowhere and dies. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know what's up. This story's whack, man. I don't know. Yeah,
but
that's my experience. So
I'm really enjoying my time with Three Houses. I would say if you have any kind of interest in it, I would go for it.
Okay. Let's see. I see it used at a GameStop. That's my deal right now too, is like there's so many awesome games coming out this year, like budget wise. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to buy all these games? So if I find a good deal on it, it's like my first must buy for my used game pickup, I think.
Okay.
But cool. Anything else you've been playing you want to mention real quick, or?
I've been playing a lot of my Sega Genesis. I got the Sega Genesis Mini.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I've been going through a whole bunch of games on that. I am one of the few kids who was lucky enough to be a daywalker. I had both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. So
dang. Okay.
But they weren't mine. They were my dad's. That was
the same here. I had both of them growing up too, and they were my dad's, but man, they were so much fun.
Yeah. So like
I
basically
only ever played Altered Beast. That's all I ever played in Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Same. I played
Altered
Altered Beast with my dad so much. We used to try to get through that game, never could. It was so hard. But so we kind of favored the Super Nintendo more. So you only kind of got to play like the super Hallmark hits on the Genesis. So going back and seeing all the other gems that people who only had Genesis, like, they're clearly familiar with, but they're like, oh man, you don't know about, Shinobi, or you don't know about Comic Zone or anything like that. So going back and playing these games it's been an awesome experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we have
if I can note, Sega Genesis has some incredible music. When people use it right, it's awesome. I would wager a lot of it is probably on par with Super Nintendo's music.
I think Super Nintendo had the more iconic music, but I think Genesis definitely had like the better quality. Like they just had, I don't know if they had what sound card they were working with, but they could just get so many more sounds out of it that just sounded so cool. Like
which is weird because by all accounts, the sound card on Super Nintendo is it has more channels than Genesis, but a lot of times, you know, they use it for Final Fantasy. You know how they had like the orchestral chords a lot or things like that make it sound epic. But with Genesis, you get your modern, you know, kind of like your techno, your R&B kind of beats, and that's when 100%. It really shines is with those.
No, yeah, like I said, like other than the Sonic theme, like I can't really like off the top of my head like hum like any other music, but I do remember that like every game was like, oh man, this soundtrack is banging, like it's so awesome, like I could just listen to this, just leave it on the title screen.
Yeah, just just touch the controller so it doesn't go over to the demo.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's been an awesome time. I'm not rediscovering, but discovering a lot of classics that I hadn't got the chance to as a youngin'. So
nice, that's awesome. Cool. And then I see one more thing on your list. You want to mention that real quick?
This
is so sad.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I've recently been in hyperdrive playing Animal Crossing New Leaf. I am trying my best to wrap up any loose ends and talk to any villagers that I can, and do as much as I can in the museum and the store and all that kind of stuff before I have to go ahead and say goodbye and head off for New Horizons. So
I like the way you put that. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the new Animal Crossing game, it's called New Horizons. It's coming out in March, right?
Yeah, March 20th.
Same day as Doom Eternal.
Doom, yes.
Got quite the competition there.
The exact opposite sides of the spectrum.
You're right. And on one side, you're ripping demons in half, and
on the other side, you're ripping weeds out of your garden,
and helping your little like rabbit friends find different random fruits.
No, but I love Animal Crossing. I go back to Animal Crossing since the first one. I am stoked for New Horizons to come out, and it is, to be honest, it is kind of it does kind of hit you when you have to start wrapping things up, because you're not going to come back to that town anymore. So a lot of the people that the villagers that you've known for years, you're kind of just like, I got to leave all that behind, but like you get to the way that makes that easier is you get to think about all the fun you're going to have in the new one, all the new villagers you're going to meet, and you can play this one with a lot of friends too. Before you can only have, I think, 3 people. Now it's 3 people to make it 4. Now you can have 8 people on the same island. So that's going to be a lot of fun, because I already know a few people that are going to be getting it as well. So I'm pretty stoked.
Cool. Yeah, I keep going back and forth on if I want to pick it up. The only reason I'm hesitating, because I've never played it in Animal Crossing. It's another game I've missed out on. There's a lot of Nintendo stuff I just totally missed on. Like I play a lot of the hits, but like some of these like smaller games, well, smaller in quotes, it's not a small game, but like it's not like Mario or
your Animal Crossings, your Pikmins,
exactly. A lot of stuff like that I've missed because it's like it's not Mario and it's not Metroid or something like that, Legend of Zelda. But the only reason I'm hesitating is because like 2 weeks later, Resident Evil 3 Remake comes out. And I know Animal Crossing is more of like a long-term commitment, and it's something you can pop in and out on, and you can like you've been playing this one on 3DS for years, right? Like it's something you've been playing for a long time, and it's okay to pop in and out. But I'm just worried I'm going to jump into RE3, and I'll probably beat the game, I hope, in like a week. It's usually a pretty short campaign on those. But am I going to be willing to jump back to Animal Crossing, or am I just going to move on to other games in my backlog? Like right now I'm playing Horizon and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at the same time. So it's like
1-2 punch.
Two pretty big games that I'm trying to get through at the same time. It's like, do I jump back into my backlog, or do I continue with Animal Crossing? I mean, I guess it depends on how it hits me, but that's my only worry. That's why I'm like on the fence. Do I spend the money and pick it up, or do I just let it go and
that's
pick it up down the road?
I think you hit it on the head. I think you're thinking of, oh man, when I go back to Animal Crossing, I have to go back to it as this big commitment. But at the same time, like you said, it's kind of like you can do that and be in Animal Crossing all day, but the object of the game is there's only a finite amount of things that you can do per day outside of something you can repeatedly do. Like you can fish all day if you want, but it's really what you do is you pop in, you check on your villagers, you know, you say hi, and then you go and do your daily rounds around town, maybe fish for a little while or fish for a lot of while, doesn't matter. But there's no like, it's not like an RPG where you're going on a quest and you can see where you need to go in the end of the quest.
I'm not like grinding experience or anything like that.
There's no grind necessarily as far as there's a big objective. There's more of, you know, just kind of chip away at your goal, have fun while you're doing it. Yeah, hey, if you can't come back, if you can't come back tomorrow, no big deal. It's fine.
Okay.
So
maybe that'd be a fun one to pick up just to like pop
like a lifestyle game.
Yeah, to pop in like a couple times a week and just do like 30, 40 minutes or something. Like, you know, that's what it sounds like. So I don't know, maybe you're pushing the needle, you know, a little closer to picking it up maybe. So we'll see. I need to contemplate.
Now the only thing I will say is if you don't come back for a long time, they will remind you about it.
Oh no! So they yell at you. I don't like
no,
that.
No. They don't yell at you. They don't yell at you, but they do say, "Hey, it's been a little while since you came back." And your villagers will, when you come back, they'll be like, "Wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. How you been?" You know, kind of stuff like that. So it's pretty neat.
That's funny. That's actually really cool. Cool. Well, I've been playing a couple games. So just in this last week, I mentioned I've been working on Horizon and Star Wars. I haven't really played Horizon the last week, but that's because JJ finally gave me back the copy of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And man, this game, I've had some really high highs and really low lows already right off the bat.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I am loving already like the general combat of the game and feel of the game. And even like the graphics are insane. Like there's so much I'm loving. I'm like, I am 100% on board. Really the only thing taking me out of it and really is pissing me off. And I tweeted about it. I had a very angry rant for a little bit.
You and everybody else that played that game.
For a couple days. And I know I'm late to the party. Everyone went through this back in November. But I guess in my head, it would have been fixed by now. They should have put out a patch to fix this, right? Like it came out in November. It's been 2 months now, coming up on 3 months. Why isn't this fixed? I jump in, and the frame rates are so horrendous. Like, I wasn't even in combat. I was just running down a corridor, running down like a hallway, or like in jumping across ledges or something. It's like it'll be nice and fluid, and all of a sudden, and man, when you're in combat, it makes it even harder when you're swinging a lightsaber around, and the whole game is about timing. It's a rhythm game, essentially.
What's the worst, Garrett, is even in the smooth frame rate option, it's still that bad.
Yeah. So I have a PS4 Pro. I have it on performance mode. And I even turned off all, like, I think there's other things like the Gaussian blur, motion blur, all these things. Boom, 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 checking them all off. I just want bare minimum for graphics. So I'm not even playing in 4K. I have a PS4 Pro and I can't even play in 4K. And it still looks amazing, even at 1080p. But man, the frame rates are so bad. So I did tweet about this I think it was the next morning. I did find a little bit of a fix. So I guess if you go in your settings, and it sounds so stupid, it doesn't make any sense. In your settings, there's an option in there to share user data, and it's automatically on. And what that does is while you're playing, it's sharing any crash data, bug data, anything.
Background processes.
All in the background. If you shut that off, I'll tell you what, that has helped tremendously. Like happens a whole lot less. But it still happens, and it still drives me nuts. Like that is not something that should happen at all.
Oh no.
And especially in a AAA like EA game, like this
with
Respawn,
a brand as big as
Star Wars. This should be the most fluid game you've ever played. But I don't know. I digress. It's still a fun game.
Did you tweet about the 10-minute loading times every time you die?
Yeah. So that was the other deal. Not only was the drop frame rates, but then it's a game that has extremely hard combat, which is fine if I can get right back in the game. I was facing an enemy that was maybe a little higher level than I should have been fighting. But I was like, it was one of those things where I started fighting it, and then I'm like, I died a couple times. I'm like, oh, now I have to beat this. I know I can beat this. I know I can figure this out. But the problem is the load times were so horrendous. It would literally be.
It's enough time to check your phone.
I turned on my timer one time, and it was like 73 seconds. That's over a minute to load in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I died easily. I think on Twitter I said like 100 times. It might have been exaggerating a little bit. But let's say even if I died, I know I died at least 30 times, if not 40 or 50. But let's just be conservative with 30. Even that is, that's like almost what? That's over
a half an hour of waiting.
That's over a half hour of waiting. It's almost pretty close to like 35 minutes of me sitting on the couch not playing a game. That's me just waiting, doing nothing. Games shouldn't take over a minute to load. Or getting distracted and
pulled out of the game, checking my phone, or maybe something else is going on in the house or something like that.
Yeah, so if it was like me going from one world to another, I would understand that because it's loading a bunch of graphics, a whole new whatever, everything, all the enemies, stuff like that. But this is just me dying. I'm staying in the same world. It's just, I respawn right around, like just up the hallway. All I had to do is respawn and run down the hallway again. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was ready to chuck a controller out the window, pop the disc out, snap it in half. Like
I'm done. I'm out of here.
I was like, I am done with this garbage. But after finding that fix, that's something it fixed a little bit, but still not perfect. But what can you do?
A lot of graphical glitches too. I noticed that.
I haven't run into too much graphical stuff yet, but I've heard a lot of crazy things about it.
I tweeted out a video where Cal comes into the ship from being outside, and it's windy outside. And he comes in the ship, and the door closes, and his poncho is still blowing around as if there's a storm inside the ship.
That's awesome.
And it's just like, how do you overlook stuff like that? And his hair looks like it's radioactive when you're inside the ship in certain lighting conditions. It's just, these are little things that you're supposed to have people to check for in teams as large as Respawn. So it's puzzling why they didn't check for that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre. But I mean, despite all that stuff, it's still an awesome game in so many other aspects. Like, that's the thing. It's so cool in so many ways that it pains me when it's not cool in other ways. Like when it's like with loading times and graphic stuff. But it's like with all those weird graphical glitches, there's also like, then it's like a panning landscape. I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, it looks amazing. So they get some stuff they nail, other stuff way off in left field. But yeah, so I've been playing some of that. And then just a quick one. I don't have much to say about this, but Killer Queen Black. I have heard only amazing things about the arcade version of this.
It is a rad game. It's so good.
Had heard amazing things about the Switch version, which is called the arcade is just Killer Queen. Switch version is called Killer Queen Black. So the only reason I picked it up, it was on sale for like $10 this last week. I don't know if it might still be on sale, so go take a look. It was 50% off, so it's down to $10, and then I had a bunch of gold coins saved up in my account, so I got it for like $3.
Not bad at all. It's a steal for what you paid for it.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, I can't not get this game right now because I've only heard amazing things. And that night I jumped in some online just with a bunch of random people because it's 4v4. One person's the queen or like the soldier, and then there's three workers. You can win 3 different ways. You can either, and each person has their own side of the screen that they're playing off of, working from. You can either kill their other. Is it the queen? I think it's supposed to be the queen.
You can kill the other team's queen.
Still their queen 3 times because they have 3 lives.
Right. The berries.
And you can. So it's a military win. If you can collect all the berries, and I think you need like 8 or 9 berries or 10 berries.
I think it depends on the stage. I think sometimes it's different.
Stage. Okay. If as a worker bee, if you can get all the berries and bring them back, you can win that way. Or there's a snail at the bottom of the map, and if you can jump on it as a worker and ride it back to your side of the map, right? You have to ride it back over to your side, or is it the other person's? I
think it's the other person's.
Something like that.
Yeah,
you have to ride it to one side or the other.
It's the most embarrassing way to lose.
Yeah, right. So I jumped in, played quite a few rounds. I think I played. Well, so they do like 3-round matches, or Yeah, right. There's 3 rounds in like one game or something.
Mm-hmm.
I played 3 games, so it's like nine matches, and I won every one. That's like my first time I've ever played. I never picked it up before. I had no idea what the controls were. I got lucky with some good teams, but we like won every time, and I was like, this game is awesome. So maybe that's why I like it, because I got lucky and had a good go at the first.
You picked it up. You picked it up at a great time, because they just recently updated it. When it first came out, it was just it was 3v3, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
So they updated it to be 4v4, and that you can play it locally. So
yeah, I saw that. I saw the local, and I was like, man, I gotta find 8 friends, I guess, together and
but
buy more Joy-Cons.
Dude, when you find that many people to play with, it is the most fun chaos you can have. It's so good.
I think that's what's so fun about it is you don't really know what's going on the whole time. It's chaos, but you're just doing your thing. You're like,
and
I'm
you're
gonna do this, and I'm
laughing.
It's hilarious. It's so much fun. It's an awesome game. So go check the eShop, see if it's on sale, and if it is, pick it up, because even for $10, it's a steal. And then you can play with me, because I'd love to play with some friends if that's possible. Do you know if the online allows you to play with friends online? Or
I believe so. I'd have to double check, but you
would think so.
Right.
It'd be crazy if it didn't, but
then again, Switch Online is terrible, so you never know.
That it is. Alrighty, guys. Wow, we are at the 1:30 mark already. Normally we are wrapping the show up around this time, but you know what? Screw it. We have an awesome guest host. So let's keep this train a rolling. We are going to do a big old topic of this show. You know what? I'm good with whatever here. Why don't you pick one? We're just going to do one. We talked about maybe doing 2 if time permitted. Let's just do one. Which one here do you think we should do, Adrian? You go ahead and throw one at me.
I think the more interesting one would probably be the backlog one. And that's the one where we were asking the question, when do you think it's time? When do you think it's enough that you need to just let your backlog go?
Yeah.
All the games that you've had for years, either on your shelf or they're downloaded in the crevices of your console, that you just swear up and down you're going to play one day, and you know in your heart of hearts you're not going to play them. When is it just time to delete them and move on?
Yeah, I think this is a good one too. And man, when I saw that on there, I was like, that hits so hard. I think it hits every gamer, but for me, I'm sure there's other gamers out there like me, but honestly, I was like, let me make a list of some of the games that are on my backlog. Can't be that bad, right? It didn't take long, and I'm like, oh no, like I easily have not hundreds of hours of games, but I
thousands.
Thousands. I probably have literal hundreds of games, not just hours of games, but actual games. Like I went through my PSN catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially with all the stuff they put on PS Plus and other games I bought and purchased. And because in my backlog, I also count games that maybe I only got like a quarter or halfway through that I want to beat and I just haven't finished yet. I have so many of those from like the past, decade even.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where, yeah, you're right. Like, when do you let those go? And it's such a hard thing to do, because there's so many great games out there that I don't want to miss out on. Like, I want to be able to talk about them, with, an actual knowledge of what the heck I'm talking about. I don't want to just BS things or be like, sorry, I can't talk about that. Like Kingdom Hearts, for one. I would love to go back and play those, but they're so big and
that's
so
multiple
old.
That's multiple hundred hours that you're thinking about with that series. And I don't know, it's you have to kind of almost come to terms with yourself. It's like, realistically what your adult life schedule is. The time you have. And which isn't much at this point. Like for me, it's like I have a full-time job. I have a kid, another kid on the way. I do this podcast. Like I have like, 5 or 6 hours a week on the shorter end. If I get lucky, maybe more. But yeah, it's tough, man. Right. Now imagine committing yourself to playing, what was I saying earlier? I don't know. Let's just, for example, a Final Fantasy. Usually to get through those is between 70 and 100 hours. So that means you would have to be playing that game for a month straight to finish it with the schedule that you have. And that's just one game.
I'm doing 5 or 6 hours a week, so more than that. Even.
Oh yeah.
That's like months. Like
right.
That's like, let's see. So yeah, 70 hours.
At 5 hours a week.
That's 14 weeks. So at that point, we're at like 3.5 months or something like that. 3-4 months.
Right, to finish one game.
And that's if I actually get, that time in. There's some weeks where I don't even get to play a game, or some weeks I get to play 1 hour, and obviously new games come out and I get distracted. Like, man, backlogs suck.
They do. Well, they only suck because you can't play them. They're usually full of awesome games that you want to play.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I think once you come to terms with, I've been okay not having played the games in my backlog. I think I'll be okay if I just don't play them. They didn't kill me for not playing them then. They're not going to kill me for not playing them now.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but is there also is there a way, could we almost come up with an equation to these games you can get rid of, but there are here's a top 3 games you have to play or something? Because that's what I feel like. I feel like there's some games I have to play, and maybe that's just in my own head. Maybe it's not a real thing, but I feel like Horizon Zero Dawn, I never finished that game. I got way into it, never finished it, and now that's the reason I started it back up again, is because I'm hankering to beat it, because there's all these rumors of
part
PS5,
2
is PS5 gonna launch, or maybe not even launch, but in the launch year, that first year, is there gonna be a Horizon sequel pretty soon here? And I don't want to miss out on that. I want to be able to play it and know what the heck happened in the first one. Or even, I could name a million games here, but there's certain games that I feel I really feel I need to know and play. And
I think
this is hard to let those go. It's hard to just be no, sorry, can't do it. But
the historical ones, or like you said, the big tentpole